welcome to Hot Takes with
Kelly?
T.
And Lee. So, ladies, are you ready to talk about Sword of Kaigen by ML Wang?
Yeah, because I'm still
First
mad as
of all,
hell.
I have thought.
I'm
are
mad
you still upset?
Yes,
as
I'm
hell.
very upset.
I have big emotions for a book that I shouldn't have big emotions about. That's what I feel. It shouldn't be.
Well, if you have big emotions, it means you're a what? A fantasy girly.
In training. In training. Put them down. Put them down.
Put it in your
In the
bio.
bio. In the words of
Put it
my
in the bio.
youngest kid. No. I'm getting there though. It's getting very close. Because I mean, the one I'm reading now, I'm like, am I a fantasy girl? Like, is this a thing? Yeah, I
Obviously.
might.
Kelly's reading
I
a
might.
fantasy book without us. Like, so,
Yeah, that's
you
crazy.
know, you're reading it on your own. You're picking it up outside of fantasy month.
What's crazy is I just signed up for an arc for a fantasy situation.
That's what mine is. It's an arc. And then my next read that I have lined up for myself is another fantasy book. What
Ooh,
the
I have an
hell?
idea. Maybe
Oh,
next
God.
season we should switch. Maybe somebody else needs to do Fantasy Friday. Maybe someone else needs to do Murder Mystery Monday, and someone else needs to do Get Wet Wednesday.
Yeah, she got moonshine in that cup. Clearly, there's moonshine in that cup.
I mean, I do like the idea. I just like I don't want to read that.
But you're reading it already.
Yeah, I can sprinkle it in.
Right. It becomes required reading when you put it on my to-do list. Maybe we should do like a Freaky Friday every now and then and change it up.
So, but maybe we could switch. Yeah, we could switch. Like, if we read a really good one, I'd be like, I really want to do Fantasy Friday. Like, we could do. Like, I could switch with you because I know you have plenty of Get Wet Wednesdays. Like, that's not a hard thing to do.
Or I just finished up a thriller, baby. I just
I was gonna
finished up
say,
that
but it can't
S.A.
get
Cosby
one-sided.
book.
Someone's gonna have to start reading thrillers though, so y'all can switch with me.
No, it's honestly after I read the thriller I read by
Listen,
myself because I
I
was
can
behind.
read that KC Mills joint, and we can do something about that. I mean, you already did one, but it'll be my perspective on it.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's not
fair.
one sided. We'll definitely do it.
It is a thriller. It's just a romantic thriller, right?
Okay.
We're losing the plot. This is a fantasy hot take. We're losing the plot, okay?
Well, we could do
Focus,
Anonymous X. That's
focus.
a thriller.
Anywho, I want to start by giving us just a refresher because it's been a little bit for me. So in this book, we're following the Matsuda family. And so some of the main characters was Matsuda Masaki, which was the badass FMC, the mother of all mothers. We had Matsura Mamaru, which was her eldest son. The little brothers was Naoki and Setsuku. You had Takeru, not my favorite at all. We had his brother Takashi, who was hilarious. And then we had her friends. We had Sesko. Does anybody remember what her sister-in-law's name was? Was it Sesko?
Seska was the sister-in-law.
Seska was his sister-in-law. She had a friend. I can't recall the name. And then Robin, which was the old fling. So just wanted to set that scene right quick. So if you haven't read the book, when we say those names, you know what we're talking about. But y'all know how I do. I have some questions for you. So let's just get on in there. I'm going to start with T. If you could slap one character upside the head
It would be
from this book,
Tamagotchi because he got on my nerves.
Tamagotchi.
Yes, what's his name?
Oh,
He
Takeru?
who shall not be named because he's disrespectful as hell.
Period.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
he's
oh.
disrespectful. You want to slap him. Why are you slapping him?
Because it's one thing to be self-centered. He wasn't even self-centered. He just wanted to be nobody and nothing. And the way he didn't show up for anyone, not even himself, not even when he could have put up a legit argument, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. Do you want me to explain?
Well, please explain.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
He had an older son.
First of all,
was a warrior, right? They are a warrior family. So everybody grows up knowing like we are warriors. Our job, our greatest honor would be to die in battle because that's who we are, right? Cool. Momo was in school. He was doing all the things. He was doing extra things, right? Because he was just that good, just that gifted. And his dad hated him. And so it comes to where they're finally in battle. And his uncle is like, "You're a warrior. This is what we go to do. Charge!" Right? He's excited. And his dad's like, "Let's fight." Right? And his son's down there. And it's literally, it's like hundreds of thousands of people coming to fight them. It's like 16 of them. But they are warriors. They've trained for years for this. So they are keeping them at bay. And then it's down to the uncle and Momo. And the uncle says, "Hey, Takaro, go back. Somebody gotta take care of the village if we die." And he said, "Okay, bet." What you mean, bet? Your son is standing right there. He's 14. And then you don't even go straight home. You go to be one with the mountain.
His son.
What about your other 3 kids and your wife? What about them?
His son had more courage and more heart than he would ever have.
And that's really disrespectful, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So he would get smacked. He would get mollywopped. He would get stomped.
people's elbow.
You took him to the street, T. You said we're no longer in the mountains. I'm gonna take you where I'm from.
I have to drag you down the mountain.
I'm gonna drag you through the streets. Absolutely. Fair.
At the beginning, T, you said that he wasn't true to anyone. He wasn't even true to himself. I think he was true to himself. I think he was selfish. Wanting to be one with the mountain, to me, was equivalent to wanting to be numb about your feelings, right? And wanting to position your own needs as the most important. And so every time he went and could physically, like the way the book described it, he would channel, like put his hands in the mountain, he would channel the mountain and be a part of him. So he would almost become like an object or a bigger being, someone who didn't have emotions. Every time he did that was a choice. It wasn't like Moana in the water and it just came over him. He had to choose to go to a mountain, put his hand and become one to it. And so he would do it to block out everybody. That was a choice. It was a selfish choice. And Momo deserves so much more than that. His wife deserves so much more than that. His brother deserves so much more than that. His late father, who isn't even a hero in this book, he's a villain, deserved more than that. Everybody deserved more than
his
what?
His father didn't deserve anything. His father deserved less than what Takaro.
To be buried wherever he is right now.
And we can go and get him and bury him deeper.
But I'm saying the lineage in the name.
In an unmarked grave.
Like, at the beginning of the
his
book,
son was, and he shouldn't have been. Because you didn't want to speak up.
Boom. That part.
So at the beginning of the book, they kept stressing Matsuda is such a powerful house. Like, you'd be proud to be a Matsuda. Even like Masaki being married off to a Matsuda, so much pride. He brought shame to his name, right? He brought shame to the whole lineage.
But the problem is he didn't, but he should have. Because he was a Matsuda and he was a warrior and he was the best. He didn't. Because that's all.
Because he mastered the Whispering Blade.
Nobody required him to do anything else but the best warrior.
Talk about it, T. It said he defeated his brother, who was like the school's dean and the school's like warrior. So if he defeated his brother, he was the best Matsuda who ever lived.
Yeah.
And you chose not to fight.
And you chose not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest disconnect with his character was I felt like everything that he did was all in honor of tradition, right? It was like, oh, I'm gonna let my father disrespect my wife in my face because of tradition. Women are seen and not heard because of tradition. All these things, even to the point when his son was like, just doing what I think a child should do, which is questioning things. I'm not challenging it, I'm just questioning it. You want to fight me because you're big mad. And then the time where you should have been traditional, which was when they tried to burn my child's body and then place him in an unmarked grave, and then further not praying his spirit on to the next realm. The time where you should have just said, we need to be traditional. To your point, Lee, you took your rabbit ass up a mountain and put your hands in the doggone snow. That was my disconnect with him, because it was tradition, tradition, tradition. We do all these things because of tradition, until it was literally my baby. Then all of a sudden it was, well, my brother told me to come home. And the emperor is saying we need to do this.
Come home. And because you're so in tradition, you ask your wife, why you got a sword in your hand?
You shouldn't be fighting.
I'm fighting for my life, for your children.
My life, my sister's life, my best friend's life, all the kids' lives. But you have the nerve to be like, battle's no place for women. Ooh, the way she should have came off on him. I didn't like it. And that's why I was like, it didn't add up to me. That he was so traditional in every way.
Like, he wasn't even loyal to himself. That's why I wouldn't call him specifically selfish, because he didn't know where he stood. He didn't know if today I'm going to be on the right because my daddy said so, but then my brother said so I'm going to just do it. And it's like, well, what do you say? Because I feel like if he would have even looked within for 12 seconds, he would have been like, okay, father, like, don't you got a wife to boss around? Go talk to her. This one mine. Okay?
To T's point, that is true, because at the beginning, when his brother, Takashi, was asking him to come back and work at the school, and Masaki was like, that's a terrible idea. You don't want to work this school. You love your job. You love paperwork. You love numbers. Like, have a backbone. Stand up to your brother. Tell him no, right? Yeah. So you're right. I don't think he knew who he was, and he was just kind of going day by day. And I think those are the most dangerous people,
for sure,
because they cause so much destruction in their wake because they refuse to take a stance.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, he was a coward.
Okay, so
he was a coward in every way.
I have another question, but you're not allowed to say the same character.
Okay.
There goes T's eye roll. If she could throw a tomato right now, she would throw a damn tomato.
That's fair.
Go ahead.
Okay. Who needs therapy the most in this book? And do you think they would actually go?
Go ahead.
I would pick the main character in this. I'm gonna say her name. Was it Misaki?
Yeah.
I would say her primarily for a few different reasons. I would say because of the simple fact that she actually had a good start, right? Even though her destiny was to marry, her family still allowed her to explore the world and to see things. And I think that can almost be harder. It's one thing if you're kept in the house, wait until you're getting married, and then that's all you know. But she got a taste of being powerful beyond her destiny. Then she found love while she was there, knowing that she was going to have to give all that up, and still said, you know what, but I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. Then you get married to the wrong person who makes your life miserable for 15 years, makes you question everything about who you are, makes you tamper down. Like, he even knew about her background and told her, we're not going to talk about it. Like, when you're here, you're just a wife. You're no longer this badass warrior who was literally out here running with the militia, right? You're just going to be the sweet demure wife who takes care of our family. You let your father mistreat her. You ignored her. You allowed her to go through child loss and then left her alone to deal with that by herself. Then when she did finally just say, okay, I need to be who I am, which is defend my family, You then berate me for doing that and try to make me feel less of a person. It's like I feel like she had
Literally in the
every
middle of a
turn.
war.
Yeah. And I'm like, I just feel like she had so much trauma from like start to finish. And then even for Robin to come back in her life. And, you know, it's just like that rehashes those feelings. Now I have to lose my child. And then I'm supposed to still look at my husband and respect him as the head of this family. When you left my child to die, let them take his body, burn it, put it in an unmarked grave, kept his body here to haunt me, mind you. His spirit is walking around our home. Yeah, the fact that she wasn't, you know, sitting somewhere in a corner, rocking back and forth with her eye twitching.
If Setsuko hadn't come into the family, that's exactly what she would have been.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Because her husband damn sure wasn't finna help her.
the two scenes in this book that live rent free in my head that I would love to see on a big screen is when she decided, oh, that's it, fight me. Fight me. I'm done.
Duel.
I'm not talking to you anymore. We're
I
not going back and forth. Draw
The
your
way she
sword.
went about it, wrote the letter and everything.
Draw your sword.
and then went and
sure
sat
I'm
out there in
gonna
the
say
snow.
You're going to say the paperwork needs to be right. Check. You're going to say that we both need a blade. Check. You're going to say the I don't know if y'all Hamilton fans. You got to pick a spot where it's high and dry. Check. We're dueling. We're going about this. And I was like, oh, you a bad mother. Ooh, you a bad mama Jama. That scene to me was the culmination of she had enough. Right?
For sure.
Enough is
Oh,
enough.
for
Like
sure.
somebody ain't leaving this mountain alive, and it ain't gonna be me. Okay?
Yep.
That scene, and then the scene where, I mean, of course, you know, Momo in the fighting scene hit me in my heart. But what hit me in my heart more was the grieving mother and her talking to him,
Trying to get her
and
baby.
saying goodbyes and just trying to like talk and come to terms with what she needed to do with his body and the ways in which she wanted to apologize for how the world failed him, or her just having just a general conversation like he was there. It gutted me, and I was just like, okay, sis needs some grief counseling. She
Yeah.
needs it.
I would
Yeah.
pick the son, the 5-year-old son. The
Yeah.
one who was a psycho killer. Because baby boy, why you not scared of somebody coming in trying to kill us?
Because unlike his
Now
dad,
are we
he's a
grateful?
warrior.
Are we grateful that you're a warrior? We are. Because he was about to take your mama out.
He's 5.
And the way he just
5. And then was
5 years
like,
old,
go fish, please,
that baby
mommy.
have please, right.
No, what concerned me about that 5-year-old is towards the end when Robin actually had another child his age, and he's just
He
trying to
was
play, and
like,
he's like, get him away from me. He's getting on my nerves. I will hit him. And I'm
that
like,
baby,
oh, wait, he needs some
that baby
counseling.
needs some counseling, needs some therapy.
That's not okay.
But why is he like that? All of these things, all roads lead back to their father, right? It's like,
Oh, for sure. And his
even
Masaki said
still,
that he was like he's as cold as his father.
yep.
And I'm just like, I get your Gia. I think it was his Gia. He was like, his Gia's ice cold, just like his dad. And I'm just like, well, that's not a good thing because his father wasn't a great person.
Now, I will say a close second for me for who I would say needs to have therapy would be, is it Tatsuki, the one who was assaulted during the raid? Was
Oh,
that
for sure.
the
Yeah.
because
I don't know her name, but we can call her that.
yeah, I think that's what it was. And I think because culture is still that way, right? It's still that way. Like she's like, I'm gonna get blamed for this. This is gonna be put on me. I'm now I'm widowed, and I think for her, I felt so much for her because she believed in the system. She was like, I'm gonna be the good wife.
Hmm.
I want to bear my husband's sons. I want to be this person, just for it all to turn on her for something that was out of her control, and ate
Completely out of
her
her
away
control.
from the inside out. And she's like, now I'm
Yeah.
pregnant. I don't know if it's his. And they're like, and her sisters are trying to just love her through it. So that scene when they get down there and they hear the baby crying, they go to check on her, and they couldn't get in. Like, even now I'm getting goosebumps. I was like, it's going to be bad.
For
And it's the
sure.
fact that she just
Yeah.
knew that there was going to be no life for her
For
because
her.
this child wasn't his. And society wasn't going to accept her
But
child.
also,
They
like,
weren't going to
the
accept
heart of
her.
her to not just take the child out. Because she probably could
Yeah.
have covered it up. I think only Masaki knew.
Yeah.
But to not take the child out and just, like, start over.
I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like even if the village knew, I don't think anybody would have condemned her in any way, right? Because it wasn't just the really negative thing that happened to her. The people who took over were hated, right? So, like, what does it look like that this person has their type of nose or this type of facial feature, this type of build? It's like the remembrance of it, right? In their bloodline, in their culture, the walking manifestation. But I feel like this book had such commentary on the strength of mothers and the strength of lineage and what mothers would do to
Now, I
sacrifice.
think her household where she was at would have been cool, but the whole village seemed to be super traditional. I don't know that they would have not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's how I understood it too.
I mean,
Is that, and that's why I think Masaki was trying to say, "Hey, we'll figure it out." But I think in her mind, she knew at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I'm not going to be the walk in the village with this baby, right? It's going to, everyone's going to know. His Gia, like all these things are going to be evident because of his genetic makeup, to the point where she was just like, I got to go. Like, it was so much so fast,
and I
and
think
I
it was
was
a little
just
girl.
like,
Yeah, it was a little girl.
It was a
this
little
little girl,
girl,
okay.
and I forgot what they named the little girl, but her name bore like bared the fact that she was a burden or that she was
Yeah,
different
yeah,
in the
yeah.
village. And um, granted, I don't know how true this is, but I'm such a nerd. Whenever I finish a book, I go look up more about that author and more about the book,
Oh, this person just messed me up when I
especially
went to
because
want
the
to find them.
further away I got from reading the book, or the longer I went from reading the book, I went back and forth on my feelings. Like, it felt complete, it didn't feel complete. I like at first I felt like it didn't feel complete at all. But then the longer I took away from the book, I'm like, no, I think she wanted to leave it open, the author. So I did some digging, and I found an interview, and at some book event, like, a panelist asked the author, Emma Wang, like, hey, were you going to make another book? And she said, I was going to. So she left it open so it could be the end, but if she wanted to explore it, which I feel like most writers do.
Hmm.
But she said she was in such a dark place. She wrote that book when she was extremely depressed. And she was like,
Yeah.
there's nothing that could get me to go back and finish that book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see it. There's just such big themes about, like, what does it mean when you don't trust your country? What does it mean when you don't trust your own culture? What does it mean when friendships are put to the test? What does it mean when people are lying to you? What is like
And you
Masaki
know
not being
they're
able to
lying.
connect as a mother at first,
Yeah.
and like, okay, I'm waiting for this moment that everybody says I'm gonna have. Like, where's that
Yeah.
moment at? Did that surprise you? Could you tell the author might have been depressed or going through something when she wrote this book?
Yeah,
I
when
don't
you
know if
start
I,
off a kid as a child warrior hero, I feel like you have to
but
kind
that's
of be
fantasy,
enough to
baby.
do that. I don't know. I'm not a
That's
writer,
fantasy,
but
baby.
I just feel like that.
Fantasy is like chapter
So
one. There's a moon on the mire, and we're gonna kill an infant. Like, that's just
But I
fantasy.
think this is also
Everyone can
maybe
get
like
it.
the first real fantasy I've read because everything else has had elements of romance in it. So it doesn't feel so just there was
I
I mean it
mean,
was a piece of romance here, a slither of romance at the
wasn't no
end.
no.
romance in this bit.
No, but
Well,
that's what
we
I'm
knew we
saying.
went with
Like
her and
that's
Robin.
romance
We
we
knew
had
there was some
with
love with
right.
Robin.
So but
Yeah.
that's the only piece of romance. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't even really romance. It was just
But you know what I respected about this book? When I'm fighting to save a village, ain't nobody got time for love and hunching. Where
agreed.
was there
No,
time in the Sword of Kaigen for hunching? No
We never
time.
saw it.
agreed.
even between her and Robin, they was always on the street fighting. They hinted at her bringing him home to meet the family, but it wasn't really no time because now you at home. You got to prove yourself to my daddy and my brothers and fight them to see if you're worthy. You weren't, but we tried.
I'm toxic. I wanted Robin to whoop Takeru's ass. I wanted them
I
to
wanted
fight at the end.
her. Well, I wanted her to
I
choose
didn't want
her.
them
Is
to
what
fight
I
at the end.
wanted.
I think by the end I had kind of backed up a little bit, but when he first came to see about her, Takeru, you're gonna have to step outside and see me because I'm looking at my girl and I know her, and this ain't it.
But he was ready. He was like, if I'm gonna die right here, I'm gonna die. But what I'm not gonna do is leave here if this ain't where if you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Blink twice if you need help.
Yeah. And she should have been.
She should have been blinking her blinkers off, girl.
But yeah, I wanted at the end. I just real quick. I did want her to choose herself though at the end. I So a couple things. The reason why I feel like the story felt incomplete is because I feel like there's a way to wrap up a book and leave room for more, right? And I felt like we did that because we found out that Robin was still there. He still had his missions and his goals for himself. We now know that, Misaki, she has some newfound energy and zeal for her life. So I feel like that was the opening to say, if we want to continue the story, we have characters here to do it because we have surviving characters. What made it feel incomplete to me is that you introduced new storyline at the end. You were like, hey, did you notice babies are coming up missing? Yeah, word. We did. Yeah, we don't know who he is, but there's this person who's snatching up babies, creating a war. And the end. And I was like,
Snatching up babies, but also has the blood manipulation that my
pages.
whole body can be manipulated. Now I need to know who is that.
yeah. So I'm sitting here at the last of the book,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I agree.
I don't want more pages because it was already 3,000 pages, but I need more pages because where did you go?
I need a little bit more.
You just dropped that little nugget and then was like, and it's over. So I feel like that's what made it feel incomplete. You didn't have to give me that. Because now I need to know who was snatching up babies to make a little baby army and
I
why.
noticed the baby was missing.
That's why I felt incomplete.
I agree there. Especially when Robin's like, hey, you know how to do the blood puppeting thing, right?
Yeah.
And Masaki is like, all right, do what I need you to do. I'm going to do it. And she do it. And now she's sweating bullets and out of breath. And just to move a pinky. It was like, it was that, but my whole body. And she was like, who could do that? And I'm like, I don't know who could.
And we still don't know who could.
Still don't know.
Because you ended the book. And I was just like... And so
We
then I
just
really
need
got
to write
confused.
a little cute novella or something.
Yes.
Like, girl, give us the answers.
Well, maybe
An epilogue, something.
if
You need to
we
give me
ask
something.
nicely, hello ML, please, 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 with sugar on top, give us 45 pages.
I'm already running behind Nina ass. I ain't running behind nobody else. If you ain't gonna finish this book, the hell with it. I can't. I cannot. But yeah, so I think that's why I felt incomplete, is because I think that was the last chapter, was new information being entered into the story. And then it was juicy. I was like, dang.
It was juicy and got juicier because now y'all friend from back in the day then got married and then he got missing, but he's still alive. He just don't want to be found by nobody, not even his husband. Wow, what he doing? Where he
at? That's what I'm saying. Like, so it was, and so I thought that, because I remember Lee, you intentionally picked this because it was standalone. So I was like, Lee must have been confused. I said, this must not be a. Yeah, I'm googling it because like, clearly this isn't a standalone because it wouldn't end this way. And so again, maybe that's just good for her, right? She got us in, and now I'm invested, and it's living rent free in all of our heads right now. But I want closure of that. I still want her to choose herself. Even if it's not good with Robin, to hell with Takara and his apology. and his explanation of why he's the way he is. Oh, my dad treated
Did
my
she
mom
choose
bad.
to Carol?
It's too late.
Lee sings in every episode.
Every single one.
It's going to be a compilation at some point. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm the way I am because of these sad things that happened to me. Oh, okay. We've all been through some mess. So yeah, I just wanted her to say, I can forgive you, but I can also still move on from you. Like, thank you for that explanation.
Where exactly is she gonna go moving on from him at this very
Robin,
moment?
wait. Wait
But
up,
that's
Robin.
not choosing herself, that's choosing Robin.
But that's choosing what she wants. She doesn't want
But she
Tara.
also has 3 kids, and the 5-year-old ain't going with Robin because Robin baby is a mixed breed, and he don't like.
Well,
it.
I'm gonna work on that blood puppet thing, and I'm gonna march your little feet on with me, baby.
But she
We
can
finna
go
go.
with her brother, and they can raise their kids together.
Let's talk about her brother.
Let's talk about her brother, who I really could have liked him if I got a couple extra pieces about him.
No, I feel like I would have liked him less because, and again, tradition versus what's right. I feel like, and maybe this is the 2025 Kelly talking. I know for a fact that my brother would come to visit and be like, hey, sis, and he would see me and be like, something's wrong. Damn tradition. Get your shit.
Sure, but you
I
also,
mean-
but here's the issue, is that you've married the best warrior.
But I feel like my father, even, who is a dialysis patient on a walker, he's going to give it the college try. Because again, that's my daughter. And my brother would be like, I'm probably going to lose.
But do you
But
want
that's
your
my
people
sister.
dead because
I
they
don't.
fight your man who is the
I
best
don't want
warrior?
them dead. But it was the fact that he was like, he knew something was wrong. And even though he asked her and she answered him, I just didn't like that. I just wanted him to be like, hey, I'm going to go for broke because something here ain't right. And I don't like it. And like I said, maybe he would have died. I don't know. But that's where the whole tradition
Now, I don't
thing
think
and like the
Takara would have
power
taken
was
him
throwing
out,
me off.
especially if it was the time after the daddy died, because the daddy was holding things in place. Even Takashi said, well, now I gotta wait for this man to die so I can marry the love of my life.
I want
Yeah.
to talk
Because I
about.
can't deal with him.
I want to talk about Takashi and Sesko. I think
They
Sesko,
were couple goals. I love that.
Yeah, they were the love in the thing.
the way she was so it's one thing to be self-aware, but it's another thing to be aware about the person you married. She was just like, oh, he wanted to die in battle, that's on brand for him, but I would have rather him do that because he was wasting away at his desk job, thinking he was a has-been. I'm gonna miss my husband, I'm gonna miss the father,
Sure.
of my child, but he got to die like a warrior, and that is who he
And that
was.
was his
I was
goal.
like,
Yeah.
wow, I had goosebumps. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know the person that you
Yeah. For sure.
But that's the beauty when you get to marry for love and not marry out of
Out of-
obligation.
yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's what made that whole transition for her to me better. Is she heartbroken? 1,000%. But she's like, I had the best marriage.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful family.
Yeah.
He was good to me. He loved, the hot
we
girl
weren't even
from the
supposed to be
streets.
together. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fisherman. I'm a fisher girl.
She's a hot Cheeto girl. And he was like, that's
Yeah,
wifey.
you.
So
Well,
I'm
you
like,
bought
I feel
17
like.
barrels of fish. Well, we
And I
gotta
was just
eat,
like,
right?
and then they even had a cute story where he's like, hey, I'll go to market for you. And she's like, why would you go to market? And then comes back with nothing on the list but a bunch of fish. Like, yeah, I didn't get none of your stuff, but here's a bunch of.
But
like,
I
it was
got
such
fish.
a cute
Well, how are
story.
we going to season this fish? You didn't get the rest of the stuff.
I ain't worried about that. So yeah, I do feel like, and that's to me, like even going back to what we're talking about with Misaki, she didn't get a chance to get that life. And I think she would have had that with Robin. When you get to choose love, when tragedy happens, you can rest well with it because again, to your point, we knew who we are. We know what this was. We knew it was us against the world, but we chose this for ourselves. And we're taking that risk because, hey, you're my person. That's why I wanted her, if she wasn't going to be alone, I was like, at least go for who makes your heart happy. I think at that point in her life, she'd earned that. At least she gets to be happy. whether it's alone or with Robin. That's why I was like, I just wanted her to not be like, well, I'm gonna help him be the best leader he can be, because at least now I understand, and he's not so bad. He's not so cold. You allowed me to miscarry and be laid on the floor.
No, not only laid on the floor, bowed down in front of your raggedy daddy.
Raggedy. Lee. Yes, yes, Lee.
Oh, hello. It's Lee.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. What's up?
It's a this or that round. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Is it rapid fire? I can't give an
Rapid fire,
explanation.
no explanation. One at a time. Kelly, Masaki's Hidden Blade or Momo's Ice Mastery?
Ooh. The blade. I'll take the blade.
Okay. T, silent, brooding warrior husband, Takeru, or emotionally available rebel ex, Robin?
Robin.
Okay. Kelly, one moment of glory or a long, quiet life of safety?
I'll take the glory.
Okay. T, training in brutal combat school or being homeschooled by Masaki?
Homeschooled by Masaki.
Yeah, because you still gonna get
You
that
still
work
getting
with the
that
sword.
training. Yeah.
I'm with you too. Okay, and then last one is for both of you all. Would you break the cycle or honor the legacy of the family?
Break this.
Baby, give me a bat. I'm tearing down the establishment. I can't.
Like a wrecking ball.
Baby, I
never hit
I couldn't do it.
hard in love.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it would have to go. It would have to go. Yeah.
Well, that was Hot Take with
Kelly.
See?
and Lee. Thanks for tuning in.